Too much of a challenge in a game could put many people off, but for many, that's something that can elevate the experience to completely new heights. There are, of course, a variety of games from multiple developers and across different genres that cater to that particular audience, and one genre in particular where we get that quite often is platformers. From 2D side-scrollers to 3D experiences, this is a genre where those looking for a game that'll put up a fight have plenty of options to dive into. Here, we're going to talk about a few games in that group that stand out more than most others. Celeste. That Celeste, a small-budget indie game made by a tiny team, is unequivocally one of the best platformers we've played in years, absolutely cannot be taken for granted. That, of course, is down to the fact that it works within its limitations to deliver something so unique and well-made. Particularly on the platforming front, it's a game that can be gruelingly difficult. Even if you're sticking to the critical path, grappling with Celeste's demanding platforming trials can be quite the task, though it's the optional content that really provides the truly difficult challenges. Thankfully, thanks to the game's pixel-perfect platforming and incredible level design, that rarely ever feels overbearing. Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy is truly one for the sadists. It's a stellar game that has certainly stood the test of time, but if you don't want your games to be too difficult, you might want to steer clear of this one. Of course, for those who like a challenge, Super Meat Boy is an absolutely unmissable experience. Navigating the game's devilishly elaborate death traps always remains immensely enjoyable, in spite of how daunting some of them can be, which is thanks in large part to the incredibly tight controls and how quickly paced the experience is from moment to moment. Even so, those who are short on patience probably won't get too far in the game. Ghostrunner. A lot of the challenge in Ghostrunner comes from its one-hit, one-kill combat, but that is, of course, only half of the experience. Just as integral to the experience in the cyberpunk action title is its platforming, which can be just as challenging as the combat, if not more. Ghostrunner equips its players with quick and slick movement abilities, but chaining them together to make it through the game's immaculately designed obstacle courses can often take multiple attempts. Death is a common occurrence in Ghostrunner, and the platforming is responsible for its fair share of that. VVVVVV. Mechanically, VVVVVV is perhaps the most unique game in this list, in terms of how limited your moveset is. You can't even jump. What the game revolves around, however, is switching the direction of gravity, which is how it expects you to make your way through terrifying labyrinths of spikes and, well, more spikes. To call the game's difficulty sadistic would be putting it mildly, honestly, and even with its generous checkpointing and infinite lives, it's a game that can make your blood boil. Like most other games in this list, however, it's also an incredibly designed game that doesn't feel cheap or unfair in the level of difficulty it puts up. Crash Bandicoot 4: It's About Time. As a series, Crash Bandicoot has taken pride in how difficult it can be since its inception, and sure enough, as its long-awaited comeback, Crash Bandicoot 4: It's About Time made that a crucial part of its core design philosophy. From enemy placements, to the hazards that are scattered about throughout its levels, to the level of precision it so often demands, to how elaborate it can get in what it requires you to do. Crash Bandicoot 4 is a game that is never afraid of piling one challenge on top of another. Occasionally, it feels like it's doing that to an almost unreasonable degree, but by and large, the game backs that up with excellent level design and fun platforming. Donkey Kong Country: Tropical Freeze. Donkey Kong is another series that has never shied away from presenting its players with grueling challenges, and its last entry, Donkey Kong Country: Tropical Freeze, was very much cut from the same cloth. Retro's 2D platformer exhibits incredible variety in design across all of its levels, and from on-rail sections to unique environmental challenges to more combat-focused sections, there's plenty throughout the experience that demands quite a lot from the player. Those who are looking for an easygoing platformer might not find it here, but if a challenge is something you enjoy, Tropical Freeze is one of the genre's best offerings in recent years. Bit Trip Runner. Over a decade on from its launch, and it's still hard not to be traumatized by the memories of Bit Trip Runner's level of difficulty. That is, of course, something that the series has always been known for, but Bit Trip Runner in particular took that to a whole nother level. There is very little margin for error, and the punishment for failure always feels like a punch in the gut. Memorizing Bit Trip Runner's levels almost starts feeling compulsory at one point, and even the smallest mistake ends up being punished. It's certainly not good for your blood pressure, that's for sure. Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. The original Super Mario Bros. Games aren't particularly known for their difficulty, even though they can, of course, be challenging from time to time. Though Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, or Super Mario Bros. 2, is very much the exception to that rule. Designed from the outset to be a much more challenging game than its predecessor, The Lost Levels throws all manner of new obstacles at you, from poison mushrooms to platforming challenges that require much greater precision and more. In fact, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to call it one of the most difficult games of its era, which is really saying something. Super Mario Sunshine.
Preparing to register customer information, scanning and classifying subject data. Subject identified as Mario, resident of the Mushroom Kingdom. Data storage complete.
Super Mario Sunshine often feels like the black sheep of the 3D Mario platforming family, and though it is, of course, still an accomplished and enjoyable platformer in its own right, some of its challenging nature does come from the frustrations with its game design. From the occasionally wonky camera controls to how exceptionally difficult the blue coin levels could be, often to the point of feeling like they hadn't been playtested, Super Mario Sunshine's challenge didn't always feel fair. Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight has received no shortage of plaudits over the years, and it goes without saying that it's a game worth experiencing for anyone with any interest in platformers. It is, however, also a game that demands quick reflexes, precision, and timing from its players. Though the punishment for death in Shovel Knight isn't too harsh, you will still be dying quite a lot, and as fun and well designed as the game is, that aspect in particular might not be to everyone's liking. So what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.